Hello, guys. David Vose here. Whoa, buddy, it's a beautiful day. I know I say that every time, but it pretty much is a beautiful day every day when you're living in paradise. Out here on the Red Mesa, it's a sunny, beautiful, hot day, and I'm really trying to enjoy this because, pretty soon the monsoons will come and June will be gone, and then here come the fall, and then the snow will arrive, and I think I'm going to enjoy each and every moment as it comes. Because to tell you the truth, the moment I'm in right now, whoa, it's like, wow, I'm so happy. I'm just so glad that my 2 feet work and I can walk around, and I got little chickens running around and making beautiful little. Oh, I love sitting in their pen, and I'll feed them and put the food all over me and in my lap, and they'll come up and walk on my lap, and they're so sweet, and my dogs love them, and they never bother the chickens. They just get along, and I've even got crows that'll fly in and stop and perch on the tree and look down, and I think, man, what's that crow planning on doing there? They, gonna fly down there and take one of the babies or something? But they don't do it. Even Mr. Cottontail, or I don't know, maybe his name is Peter Cottontail. I didn't catch his first name, but I was mad at him. don't misunderstand. I was a little upset when he started eating my garden, and when I finally discovered that he was just taking all the best plants. Like one plant, okay, maybe we could live with that. But the whole row of corn and all of the broccoli, and now last night he did it again and got, I think it was a squash plant, and I had put out the trap and he didn't even look at it. He's like, nah, I know what that is. You ain't getting me. So my best friend told me, here's what you do. I don't know what I would do without, this kind of genius. Like, I don't even think I would have thought of this. I was sitting around thinking, what am I going to do? I'll trap the little guy and take him down the road and let him go, or maybe I'll sit up all night. Oh, I was thinking about maybe getting a motion detector that would flash a light on him or something and maybe scare him. But no, my friend tells me you put chili oil and garlic in a spray bottle. Some herbs and different things that they don't like. And you put that out there in the garden, and the rabbits don't come back. So, hey, I'm going to do that today. Anywho, guys, we're going to give you some information today. Woo-hoo-hoo, buddy, we're going to try to put this in perspective because it is getting confusing. And we're not talking about Confucianism over there in Orient. But, this is the real Confucium, which is the real religious MK Ultra mind control propaganda religion that they're foisting on us in modern times. Confucianism, which is we're all confused, and we don't know which way is up or which way is down, and what we think is up is actually not even up. We're on a globe. Ha! Oh, guess what? The stars that you see are so far distant that you could not compute it if you had a calculator. But we know there's a planet out there with water on it, and we got a ship going right through the Van Allen belt as we speak. 478 trillion, was he going the speed of light? Yeah, close to it, right? Well, how do you do that, right? Well, it's a vacuum of space, so there's no friction. Okay, but as we get close to the Earth, there's a Van Allen belt. And then you say there's another kind of fire belt out past Pluto that is like 40 billion Celsius, or, what? I mean, and you went through that, right? And now you're out beyond Pluto, and you're about ready to go to the star Sirius or something. I forgot. You guys could do anything as long as you never let us know what is in the other hand, right? Or you learn how to backhand those cards. or you somehow can mesmerize us into just believing something that isn't even true. I heard that some of these gurus, swamis slash yogis, will convince their entire audience that they're like able to do miracles. And here's how they do it. They literally, as you're going in, they provide you with water or something to drink, and the water is spiked with some kind of hallucinatory drug that makes your mind like silly putty. And they can tell you what you're seeing. They'll describe to you what you're seeing. Oh, there's a lemon tree growing right up out of the ground. Oh, it's 14 feet tall. There it is. You see it? Reach out and pick a lemon. Oh, it's delicious. Yeah, you're hypnotized because you partaken of the herb. It's sleight of hand. It's trickery. But, anywho, what we're going to talk about is whether or not Project 25 is real, what Project 25 is, did Trump know about it, and what's its purpose. So let me show you this little clip and we'll get right back to you.
We need to talk about it. Project 2025. What is it? Who wrote it? Where did it come from? The entire far-right blueprint is 920 pages and 30 chapters. You're not going to read all that. I don't expect you to. And if you haven't even heard of Project 2025, that's okay too. But you do need to know what's in it because it's pretty terrifying. Now let's get into some of the very concerning things on their wish list for DJT's second term.
Oh my goodness. Wait till you hear what this lady enumerates as the plan for 2025 by Donald Trump. And it makes you wonder if really what they're doing is bringing out a black woman who may appeal to the black community, other minorities, people that aren't conservative, maybe liberal people, and tell them, oh, Donald Trump's going to make people happy again. Donald Trump's trying to make us, sing again, and he wants us to be loving to one another. Oh, it's terrible. and this might be the actual way to convert the liberals to conservative, because if you listen to what this woman is saying Donald Trump is planning on doing with this disgust in her voice, like, how dare he try to take away our abortion rights? We want to be able to kill our children and he's going to stop us. All right, so it really sounds like you've got a terrible thing. She's about to tell you the terrible things that's going to be happening. But you see, they are terrible. But the way they're going to tell you about them is going to make them look great. It's going to make... What if I came and knocked on your door out of nowhere and said, hello, excuse me, but you've got a man out here on the corner of your sidewalk that's giving away millions of dollars, and we just can't put up with this. This guy is a bane to society. Why, he's already tried to give me $1 million. I won't take it. It's disgusting. Now, we've got to stop this. Are you with me? And you're like, yeah, excuse me. And you slip out the back door and you run around to the front and say, I'll take $1 million. Right? So this is how you get people recruited. You make the world think that liberalism, freedom, is a conspiracy theory. It's a crazy idea. We can't have liberalism because if you give people freedom, all the people are going to go around diddling the children. And just the very threat or the idea that some people might be diddling the children, or worse yet, somebody might just be diddling somebody they don't even live with, or it's not their wife, right? Maybe the children down there at the playground are diddling each other too. So we could probably take those kids to ROTC and teach them some maybe militarize the school. We got to bring uniforms back to school rooms, and nuns that will wrap your fingers with a ruler, and corporal punishment and discipline and more prisons. And yeah, this will lead to, we probably need more military on the streets, more cops on the corner. Yeah, that's the solution. The law of Moses That's it. You will not be able to buy or sell without the mark and the authority to speak that comes from the higher ups who are only trying to help you because you can't help yourself. You gotta have government in charge. And it's kind of crazy that it was Reagan that may have kind of started all of this Project 25, as we'll see here, that kept saying we need less government. I remember when that guy that was running for president, it was from the governor of Texas, one of the governors, prior governors. Can't even remember his name right now, but when he was running for president, he was doing pretty well until he made a big gaffe in the debates. But he was talking about getting rid of the IRS, getting rid of the public school programs administration, getting rid of welfare, getting rid of all of these different independent agencies. And we were like, hey, that sounds like a great idea. We're getting rid of the IRS. Hey, this is great. No more taxes. But never was that implemented. And remember, Trump said he was going to get rid of the IRS. I don't think it's going to be implemented, friends. It may be digitalized so that you won't even know it's there. They'll just take the money right out of your check or something. But they'll keep taking your money. I guarantee it. Because we got to have more military and more spending because we got to go to the moon. We got to put the Starlink up. And hey, there's a war. We got to go fight the war. We need more military. You know, even though we're the greatest military in all of human history, we need to be greater. So then we've got to set up an anti-diddle agency. And of course, it's the Christians who are all for the anti-diddle agencies. But the other side is running around setting up pro-diddle agencies, pro-pedo, pro-freedom, because they've turned that pedophilia diddle thing into freedom and the rights for you to diddle your dog if you want to. It's your right. And that's going to look crazy to the anti-diddle crowd. And then because you're running around sort of militaristically demanding that we all diddle each other, the anti-diddle crowd is going to start making laws against diddling anybody. You get caught behind the barn kissing your sweetheart, and you're going to, diddle school. And if you don't pass that, you're going to diddle jail. So watch this lady tell you the things that Donald Trump's about to do in such horror. Oh my goodness, he's going to bring back, marriage and love and morals. It's terrible. We got to stop him. And it really looks like it's such a psyop that you don't even know what's going on or who's on the left or who's on the right or what's, it's like an old Laurel and Hardy movie. One guy's playing the funny guy, one guy's playing the wise guy, and they keep each other going, and that keeps us entertained. But, so let me show you here what she says about Project 25.
Starting off strong on pages 450 to 503. They're calling for a complete ban on abortions.
Yay! Ban on abortion! That sounds good.
Not very shocking. Page 319, they're saying the Department of Education should be eliminated.
Yay! Again, I'm on that side. Let's do it. Get rid of the Department of Education. Bunch of freaks.
And in addition to calling for its elimination, they state that any school that requires a vaccine or mask mandate will not receive federal funding.
Are you kidding me? Huh? Where can we sign up for this? I mean, literally, this is what we need. Anybody trying to take away your rights and tie you down and put something into your body that you don't consent to put in there, or they come up with some serum that every child in America's got to take because they claim that they said so, or whatever is going on here, got to wear a little clown mask or you're not going to be able to go into the grocery market and buy food. And you're telling me that this is a bad thing? They're going to stop this? And that this lady is with a straight face going to tell you that we need to stop Donald Trump because he's trying to take back America and make it great again? Oh my goodness. She's obviously a paid actress, friends. They literally went out and shopped for a minority and said, put some makeup on, wear this shirt, and learn how to look disgusted and, say these lines. Action, camera, go.
Page 482, eliminate the Head Start program. Page 675, calling for the elimination of NOAA and the National Weather Service. Because these organizations, and I quote, have become one of the main drivers of climate change alarm industry and as such is harmful to the future U.S. prosperity. Page 133, they call for the complete dismantling of the Department of Homeland Security.
Oh my goodness, please get rid of the Homeland Security. Oh man.
In addition, they argue for the elimination of the FBI along with the Department of Justice.
The FBI? The Department of Justice? What? No more justice or no? Maybe the Department of Justice was the reason we had no justice. Let's get rid of their justice and bring back actual natural justice. Like freedom or trusting one another, loving one another, not control and martial law. Let's do that. I would love it if you'd get rid of the whole police department in every city. That's what the liberals supposedly wanted to do. Defund the police. And that's what Trump's going to do now? No, it's just a ploy to get you to vote for him. That's it.
Page 5, they call for a complete ban on corn, writing that corn should be outlawed. The people who produce and distribute it should be imprisoned. And anyone else who participates or facilitates it should be registered.
Oh, please don't take away our genetically modified corn. Oh, man. No, please don't arrest the people that are trying to make our food healthy. That darn RFK Jr. Well, you know what? I think that RFK Jr. is trying to get control of the food supply by doing something that we all want. But then later, somebody will come along and turn that into they can poison us if they want to, and there's nothing you can do about it. Ha! Because the government will have absolute control. But I don't know if you realize it yet, but what we're finding out is that no matter what you do, as long as there is government and somebody telling you what to do or implementing their rules, whatever those rules are, left or right, it's not going to be a good thing. It's going to end up with some snarky little girl telling us what we should do with ulterior motives and a false intent that will confuse you right out of your stinking mind. Because it's the Hegelian dialectic. There you go. There it is.
Page 104, reverse policies that allow transgender individuals to serve in the military. Gender dysmorphia is incompatible with the demands of the military service, and the use of public monies for transgender surgeries or to facilitate abortion for service members should be ended.
Oh, the horror! Are you kidding me? We're not allowed to mutilate the children anymore? Oh, that's just... that's where I draw the line, man. When you start coming in here and telling us that we're not allowed to mutilate our children and then parade them around on television, like right in your face saying, we mutilated our child. Now, if you don't do it, we're going to take your child away from you and mutilate them for you. How you like that? Know what I mean, man? Know what I'm saying? You know what I'm laying down, man? Tell you what, brother. You're going to see some jiving up here and there. We're going to take this country back. We're not going to allow this uppity elite taking over our country. We want to mutilate our children. That's all right, man. Tell you. And all this crap about we got to speak an English language when we live in this country. Why, I should be able to speak a jive talk anytime I want. Now, get the heck out of my way, man. By the way, I wear my pants down around my knees. That's my right, brother. I'm surprised at you don't even wear your pants down there by your knees. It's wonderful. Liberating. Oh, man. It's freedom, man. Let it all hang out.
And there's so much more, including the possibility of ending birthright citizenship, banning African American and gender studies in all levels of education, calling for an ending of any DEI programs, getting rid of gay marriage, ending the Affordable Care Act. And it also calls for the mass deportation of immigrants and proposes a plan to round up illegal migrants and lock them up and put them in camps. But perhaps one of the most troubling and well thought out plans is the move to reclassify federal workers under what is known as Schedule F. Now, I'm going to get a little HR heavy.
Oh, baby, lay it on us. Make it heavy. We can bear it. You ain't heavy. You're our brother. Well, notice that seemed to be a line that was scripted. HR heavy. I don't even know who would even say that. She's reading this. She's doing this, very practiced oral speech, like it's written off of a prompter. Really, this is a commercial for Donald Trump, not for Joe Biden. By the way, I hear Biden is in an old folks' home. He's out on Epstein Island, wandering around out on the beach, trying to find little girls that he can sniff or whatever. He's got this martini in his hand. He's wandering around sniffing girls. And, well, don't worry. He'll be all right. He's just wearing like a suit, right? That's like Satan inside of there. And he was just wearing a little suit, like a mask or whatever. It wasn't even real. So that's the tunnel there on Epstein Island where you go down underground and they got all these, I don't know, alien scientists from the constellation Aldebaran. And they know how to reconstruct your body, and you just literally come back up as another politician or switch places with Trump and he'll wear the Biden suit for a while or whatever. But they got it all taken care of, don't you worry.
But please stick with me because it's so important. Now, there are two types of federal employees. The first group are merit-based workers. These are career positions. These people have earned them through going to school, getting work experience. They're either considered experts or they could be a part of the support staff. These people are hired because they know their stuff. Think an engineer at NASA or a scientist at the FDA. And their federal jobs have protections. Now, the other class are at-will or appointed workers. These employees tend to serve at the pleasure of the president or the administration, which basically means they can be fired or replaced at any time. To put it all in context, there are about 2 million of the first class of merit-based employees, and only about 4,000 political appointed ones. Under this new plan of Schedule F, they'd reclassify a bunch of the regular civil servants into political appointees. That way, the Don can replace them with loyalists. Now, how does replacing all of these people help him carry out his plan? Let's do an example. Under Schedule F, DJT could take a scientist at the FDA, fire him, and then replace him with, let's say, a scientist who wouldn't give clearance to birth control or the abortion pill, therefore making it illegal and inaccessible without having to go through the courts, without having to go through Congress. By the way, they specifically lay this out in the plan in the 900 pages. Now, remember what I said about the whole conservative LinkedIn? That's the database they're going to use to fill these positions. A bunch of unqualified loyalists. And in October of 2020, actually, DJT tried to do this. He tried to implement Schedule F. He signed it into order, but then he lost in November. And the whole thing was pretty much a secret, but Biden then immediately repealed it. But if he wins this time, they say it'll be one of the first acts of his presidency. Now, the Don has come out and said he doesn't know anything about this Project 2025 and has been trying to distance himself from it. But at least 26 authors and people who are associated with Project 2025 served in his very own administration, including Russ Voigt, John McKenty, Stephen Miller, and many others. Also, his own platform, Agenda 47, just sounds like a SparkNotes version of Project 2025. The president of the Heritage Foundation is calling Project 2025 the New American Revolution. The second DJT term could lead the way.
This is a great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America, and that's coming. Heritage Foundation president, somebody else doing an unbelievable job. He's bringing it back to levels it's never seen. Dr. Kevin Roberts, like some on the right, severe right, came up with this Project 25, and I don't even know. I mean, some of them I know who they are, but they're very, very conservative. He's involved in Project, and then they read some of the things, and they are extreme. I mean, they're seriously extreme. But I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it.
They wrote a document that many of the points are
Fine. Many of the points are absolutely ridiculous. I have nothing to do with the document. I've never seen the document. I've seen certain things that are said in it. This is a great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do. And
every part of Project 2025 is a wrecking ball towards our government, our democratic institutions, our fundamental rights. I think the piece that disturbs me the most is the explicit extremism embraced in this war plan for the MAGA right-wing Republicans, and the fact that there are no longer any constraints. They are just blasting through norms, and it's not even clear that they will be bound by the rule of law as they roll this agenda forward. So we could talk about the sweeping of the away of the civil service, the repopulating the federal workforce with these vetted Trump loyalists that are going to be from a database maintained by the Heritage Foundation. We could talk about eliminating the Department of Education, rolling the military into blue cities, So many aspects of this are just extreme and dystopic, but it's the explicitness of the extremism and the fact that it's coming from the highest echelon of Donald Trump's inner circle that troubles me the most. Rolling the military into blue cities.
So I thought, okay, I'll ask Mrs. AI what it means to turn the military into blue cities. Because if I'd sat and thought about that, I would think, wait a minute, blue. Oh, Democrat. But I didn't really get it yet. But this is really genius. And in fact, it would be the way that you would do it if you wanted to control the way we think and the agenda. But if that is the elite plan to do, then wouldn't they have been doing it way back when? Well, they claim that it was done, as we saw, with Reagan, and Reagan implemented all of this. I don't remember, Reagan taking down the liberals. I mean, maybe a little rhetoric and a little bit of a conservatism that spread a little here or there. You had Rush Limbaugh, whatever. But the abortion thing was right on schedule at the time. There was still drugs coming in. There was still people dying. This was when all the gay movement was going on and the pride parades and all, we had wars. Remember, Reagan's vice president was Bush, and he went into the Middle East. So either the conservative movement, which are supposedly doing this push to take over, either they are a separate entity that are not as powerful as the liberal elite, the communist, socialist, George Soros elite, and they finally won somehow. Like they got Reagan, they got Trump in, and he's gonna do it. Or it's another scam, because look, they're both run by the Zionist movement, right? Because isn't George Soros Jewish? I thought so. Bill Gates, the Goggle brothers, Mr. Bozo the Jeff Clown, isn't Zucker worker? Aren't all of these trying to control, like Facebook, the CIA, DARPA? It seems like another psyop. It seems like a Hegelian plan of dual arms. One comes in and kills and murders and pillages. The other comes in and rebuilds. Build back better, right? It's like the same. Remember, Biden was building back better, meaning he'd burn the cities down, destroy all the values and morals that we used to have. If there was any group somewhere, there wouldn't just be two groups, because why would there just be two? You would think there'd be more opinions, if you could narrow it down only to two, and they were absolutely diametrically opposite, liberal conservative, then you know it's come from the dialectic, the Hegelian dialectic, that it's been planned that way. The two arms of the pendulum that keep, that's how you mow grass. You swing it back and forth. You can't just swing it one way. It's got to come back the other way. And your sickle or scythe is sharpened on both sides. It's a two-edged sword. So it says here the phrase the military into blue cities, according to AI, generally refers to the potential or actual deployment of military forces, specifically federal or federalized National Guard troops, into cities that tend to vote for the Democratic Party. Well, we've seen an example of this. California. Newsom supposedly is really liberal Democrat. Trump, it's all over. I mean, it's like this big theater. We all know that they're liberal, and there's homeless people. They're letting terrorists in. They're destroying California. It's so expensive you can't even live there. The trash everywhere. We understand. They won't let the water come down. They're depriving the citizens. They're burning out the cities. Paradise and Santa Barbara or whatever's all being burnt up. Hawaii. So we see all this, and nobody wants that. Nobody likes that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So this opens the door, then, for Trump to come in with National Guard. As he did. The riots started. He brought in the National Guard. Now, what does that mean? It means he undermines Newsom? No, Newsom's part of the plan. Notice how Trump's always saying, oh, I get along real well with Newsom. We're best pals. Right? This is a tag team. He does the damage, and I come in and rebuild it the way we want with our values. So this has gone everywhere. I mean, you got one pedo up in, what is it, Minnesota or somewhere? Wisconsin, the guy that was running as vice president for Harris. One of the people he recruited in his administration is the one that just murdered a conservative, supposedly Republican legislature in his state, and several people were murdered. It happened the other day, and I haven't heard anybody say, well, we're going to put the guy in jail or investigate. You know, maybe they're investigating, but you know how that goes. So there's some serious things going on both sides. Like we said yesterday, we got a guy that's got, Judaism, religious tattoos all over, and he's an extreme Zionist, and he's literally went out and crucified a Christian pastor. And supposedly had a manifesto that was going to murder all the Christians, right? And crucify them all in a circuit around the country. And it literally has to be that it's designed, politically designed, to scare us or to move us in a certain direction, or we'll say, hey, we can't have that, so we're going to have to get rid of the state of Israel, which is what the Bible says they're going to do, that the Lord will put it into their hearts to burn her with fire. So, it's like we've got not just a dialectic with the devil having both sides to swing the pendulum to get us to a place where he wants. So I start debating for years. I mean, it took him years debating every diggity dang dong day. Gay rights, transgender, abortion rights. We have the right to riot and burn your city, and you got to pay us, and you're going to be put in jail for being conservative, but the liberals get to go out and murder and pillage and walk naked down the street in their gay prides or whatever, that we're going to let this go on. And you think, oh, well, they're winning. No, that's the plot, to piss you off so that the world then becomes more and more conservative. And once they've developed this anger, maybe in civil war is what they really want. Maybe both sides have got equal footing. Maybe they're financing both sides equally till there will be complete civil war. Maybe there is no one side's winning. Maybe Reagan tried a little bit, never went too far because the liberals were always there to stop him. Maybe Trump's going to try this for a while and get half the country, militantly for him. And then the liberal side will come in and gain a little bit. Because after these 4 years, what? Maybe the Democrats take over again, and then they do this same uh, ability without any regard to due process. They can just take over and demand that all of our children become trans. I mean, the swindling comes back, and then that pisses us off even more. Or maybe the goal is just to kill us all in this great civil war. Because if you'll remember, I think a lot of people, I was telling somebody yesterday that I think a lot of us think that the Great Tribulation is going to be a war and a one world deity where everybody's hiling some Führer and they're murdering people for being a Christian, and it's like some kind of one world government, and that's all we think about it. Well, maybe it will be by the end of it. But what do you do to get there? What does Jesus say? He keeps telling us this, and it's everywhere. It will be every man against everybody. It will be nation against nation. It will be kingdom against kingdom. Ethnicity against ethnicity. That's what the actual translation should read. Not nation against nation, but like tribe or ethnicity against ethnicity. And a man's enemies will be those of his own household. That's what Jesus said very clearly. Like, that's how he describes the Great Tribulation. Civil war with everything and everyone. Not just the national civil war, but the family civil war, and the human civil war, and the nation civil war, and the government civil wars, and the international civil wars, and the global civil wars, and the corporate civil wars, and the financial civil wars. And literally, in every family, there will be half conservative, half liberal, who will literally hate each other and turn each other into whatever side's Gestapo's running the show at the time. But the reason why it looks like Trump is so for this, and as I read off the things that he's going to do, or she told you, I'm sitting here as a human being thinking, well, yeah, I would do that too. If it's true that this liberal satanic organization is taking over the whole world, and they've got their people into the positions of power everywhere, like Lenin, right? The 2% of the population, that took over Russia. And of course, they took over Hollywood here and politics and stuff. So they did it everywhere. And if they're so entrenched that they're manipulating everything, the news, the food, they're killing us, spraying things in the air, and all of this is going on, then yeah, we need some authoritarianism. We need somebody to come in there and by hook or crook, get rid of these guys. If we have to make new policies, we need a strong man to come in and start firing everybody and maybe even skipping the due process. I mean, maybe not. I don't know if that's ever a good idea. But at least the theory is that the big, strong heroes coming in to just, like, they're not playing fair, so we're not going to play fair. And we're just getting rid of all of them, but their intentions are good, and it'll all work out. But what if they don't intend to win, but they only intend to get you all fired up, wanting to win, thinking we're going to win, and allowing this more control coming in? Allowing, well, we got to take over California because they're a bunch of communists, right? So we'll let the National Guard just take over California. That's good. We like that. I want that because I don't like what they're doing over there. All these homeless people dying and all the children lying around the streets on drugs, dying, terrorists coming over. We want that to stop. But it's a precedent. If you go in and literally dictatorially take over. Now remember, the liberals already did it. They already took over in a dictatorial way. Yes, it's already been done. But it was wrong when they did it. So you say, yeah, but what if the only way to stop that is to take over again, just like they did? I get that. And I might even think, okay, I guess there's nothing else you can do. Well, let's do it. Except, as I just got through saying, that both sides are dictators and are working for the same program. It's just back and forth Hegelian dialectic. They're going to use the liberals. There's always half the country's liberal. Nobody ever stops them. They're not going to take over California. They're just going to use their they're just going to use all of this going on to make it even more dictatorial in California. But in actuality, they're still going to be terrorists. There's always going to be homeless. There's never going to be righteousness. There's never going to be peace. There's never going to be happiness. It's a scam. That's what I think. Now, they go on to say, so Trump got to send the National Guard into California already. What that did, I don't know. I think it just is precedence, number one, so that anytime the government wants to come in and just take over, they can. And they can say, well, we have to because there's rioters in the street. But you see, why don't they go after the billionaires that finance the riots instead of taking over the country in military martial law? In other words, it's a big excuse to have the military come in and check your ID and put a mark in your hand or your forehead, or else you won't be able to buy or sell. Because we got to, because we don't know who these terrorists are. Well, the terrorists are coming in because of a political group that's got money that finances it. And Trump, if he really wanted to get rid of all of this, could go after Soros, Bill Gates. You know, Newsom could literally be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. But they're not going to. So it says, this is often politically charged topic due to the sensitive nature of using military forces domestically and potential for federal intervention in local affairs. So we're happy that Trump's, without due process, taking the terrorists and taking them to Guantanamo Bay or El Salvador or wherever. You know, we want them out of here. But without due process, this gives the precedent and the excuse that at any time that they deem you a threat because your Christian views or whatever they don't like, or you didn't say the proper words on your platform on YouTube or Facebook or something, they can not just take your channel down, but deport you now with no due process or even any real clear understanding. Just that, well, you were legally brought in here by one administration, but they were just fooling you so that now we can torture you and round you up and send you into a concentration camp. It's your fault because you listened to our prior administration. We gave you handouts, and now it turns out that the guy that was giving you all the handouts, we don't like him anymore, and that policy's over. So now we want all the handouts back, and we're going to cut your hand off for taking the handout. And these innocent people just like, oh, let's sign up for welfare because that's what they're telling us to do. They're giving us free housing. They just accepted the offer. That's what Americans do. So the breakdown is the blue cities. These are cities or regions that typically vote for the Democratic Party, indicating a generally liberal or democratic political lean. Military presence. This can refer to the deployment of federalized National Guard, active duty military, political motivation, deploying military force into blue cities. So this has already begun. I guarantee it is not a coincidence that he's already going into California. And what do you want to bet me? That there will be more riots and it will get worse and there will be National Guard and military presence everywhere. And what if this is a little bit like the Walmart over the last 20 years, where it started off with somebody at the door going, hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Have a good day. To get you used to the fact that you're being watched and monitored by a little happy face. And then it turned into, hello, let me see your receipt. Hello, give me your receipt or you're going to jail. Hey, you can't buy that wine. Why, you've got somebody in your line that's not even 18 and they've got to show their driver's license. Well, they're only 17. That's my child. Oh, well, you might be buying wine for them. So, it's, what are you, 80? Let's see your driver's license. Prove it. I'm I don't drive. I don't have a driver's license. Well, then you can't have wine or beer or alcohol. We can't sell alcohol at the store. You've got to go down the road to a liquor store because we've made it illegal for you to pursue any activity like maybe something that even the Lord Jesus did, like drink some wine. But that's become a crime. We've got to regulate it. But we cannot regulate the drugs coming over the border because these darn liberals have taken over. Oh, well, that gives us an excuse to go in and take them out. No, that gives us an excuse to go in and monitor and control all the good people, that legally own firearms under the Constitution. But now you've got to go and get a permit and prove that you know how to shoot one, and you've got it locked away somewhere under lock and key. You can only have so many of them. You can't have that kind. And, well, yeah, legally you can hunt, but we got control of the Forest Service and the Fish and Game and the BLM, and it's illegal to even camp there or go into these areas if your dog's not on a leash, or we'll just check you, harass you, get you to realize you're not going to even have any right. You can't even camp there or fish there without getting a license. So they're controlling the hunting, which means they're controlling your rights to own that firearm, to feed yourself. You can't go out into the woods or BLM land and grow a garden. You don't have the resources of that land. You can walk on it for a day as long as your dog is on the leash. But see, this is what it is. It's just a way to get more control. So it's going to be going on, and I guarantee that whatever Trump's doing, it is Project 25. And you'll remember that whenever anything is called a project, it's from the NAZIs. They're the ones that started projects and operations. And once we took them out in World War II, supposedly, they came over in Project Paperclip. That was another project, but now it was over here. And we've got Project this, Project Humming, or Operation Mockingbird, or whatever. They're these elite individuals, these psyops that run NASA and the elite financial banks and the think tanks and the programs and the parties and the politics and the pharmaceutical companies and the Hollywoods and the propagandas. They're all at the top running both of these sides and getting more and more and more control over the people, like shortening the leash and getting us used to the idea that they can just come in at any time and declare that there's an epidemic. And now this gives them the right to run everybody through a checkpoint and check your ID. And, well, therefore, we've got to make sure that everybody's ID'd. And therefore, we've got to have checkpoints everywhere. And remember the old switchblade in the pocket on the airplane thing, and then it got, or the guy had a razor in his shoe or something. So then after that, everybody that got on an airplane had to be regimented, go through some metal detectors and searched and take your clothes off and rectal searches and all of this harassment just to get on an airplane. And now it's happening with the cars. You're driving anywhere near the border, you're pulled over and they want to see your ID and check your car, see if you're smuggling drugs or well, first of all, they can smuggle the drugs because the people that are smuggling the drugs, they don't check because the government and the CIA is in on that. But the excuse that people are bringing in drugs means that now they can check your car, the innocent person who's free to travel without being molested or curtailed. You have the freedom and the right of travel, but now you don't. You've got to have checkpoints. So you see what's going on here. Both sides are creating the environment. Global warming, oh, that's the bad guys. But we don't believe in global warming. So what? That gives us the excuse to take down organizations or mandate beliefs. They already mandated the belief that you got to believe in global warming. They did it slyly in a way that was, we didn't know what was going on, but it was just like taught in the schools. Well, now because we're so pissed off about that, now we're going to be legally and forcefully made to believe that global warming is wrong. And anybody who believes in these conspiracy theories of the global warming or transgender or whatever propaganda that they've been putting on us for years, if you believe that, you might be rounded up and taken to jail. Remember, ultimately, their goal is to bring in Noahide laws. Noah? Yeah. Abrahamic covenants, Gesera, Nasera, which is basically the Noahide laws. Back to Judaism. You get the mark of Yahweh upon your hand or your forehead. They're really against the people having any freedoms. That's all they're against. And the ability to go in and genocide and control population and do all of that. Now, the elite, they don't really go by these things. Remember, when did Judaism, the elite kings and queens and the people that ran things, when were they ever under these laws? It was always a hypocritical system. If you start stoning people for adultery, then every one of the elite top people in the world will have to go to prison or be stoned or executed. And they're not going to do that. They're just going to enforce it upon us, only as a way to harass us, to find out what we're doing in our bedroom. Because, hey, we all don't like this transgender thing, so therefore we've got to go in with the police and check your bed and make sure that whoever you're sleeping with or whoever you kissed last night wasn't, somebody we don't like or somebody you're not allowed to kiss. It's just a ploy, guys. Think about this. Guns, marriage, gender, air, global resources, everything is now controlled because of these conspiracies. And it's not Trump who's doing this out of nothing. Whoever's running both sides put him in now. They had Biden in. You think the American people voted Biden in? No, they put him in. And now they put Trump in it, back and forth. They're running both sides. The military-industrial complex runs everything, and they're just stooges or the elite guard. You know how Saddam Hussein had the elite guard or whatever they called them. And they were very, 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 very loyal to Saddam Hussein. That's how you work. You get all the loyals around you, and they run everything. Well, they've had the loyals around them for a long time. They were all liberal loyals. They were all retards and globalists and liberal pedophiles. And they run everything. Well, now we're pissed off, and so now we're going to murder them all. We taught them to be like that. We made them indulgent little brat children who think they're entitled. Now we're going to kill them and take them to concentration camps and replace them with a Gestapo that you will not believe until you see it. And remember, all of this is going to lead not to any one side taking over, but to every man's enemy being those of his own household friends. So,
Project 2025 is a nearly 1,000-page document that is designed to serve as a blueprint for transforming American society.
Okay, guys, well, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. We're almost an hour. I got a lot of things I got to do today. My daughter's coming to visit on the 1st, so I'm all excited about it. You guys have a blessed day. The Lord loves you all so very, very much. Every one of you. He is love, and there is no evil or any darkness in him at all. He loves you all. I'm going to let you go. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.